Well, let me just say it is great to be here. I want to say a few words to you, talk a little bit about some of the things that I think may be important and interesting, and then save some time for me to find out what really is important to you and to answer your questions. But I believe that there is no more important election in America this year than the election for Attorney General of the Commonwealth of Virginia. You know, and I know, that we've got a federal government that knows no bounds. The President has demonstrated time and again over the course of the past 4 years that he is not going to be backed down. He is not going to be restrained by constitutional limitations or statutory limitations. He is going to implement his agenda, whether it means going over, under, around, or through Congress. And unfortunately, it has fallen to the attorneys general across this country to be the ones who stand up and defend our freedoms against an overreaching, overarching, overaggressive federal government. And that, ladies and gentlemen, makes it critical for us to win this Attorney General's race here in Virginia this year. We cannot afford to lose it. A couple of reasons why it's so important. Ken, I'm proud of the fact that he was the first Attorney General in America to stand up and take the Obamacare legislation to court and challenge it in the courts. That was a bold move. It was a brave move. He saw some of the changes coming in the relationships between the states and the federal government, and he was ready, he was able, and Rob and I were both co-patrons of the Virginia Healthcare Freedom Act that Ken used as the basis for taking that to court. We lost that case, but it was a case that needed to be fought. It is the first round in what will be more rounds of litigation involving the constitutionality and legality of the Obamacare Act. We've got a lawsuit perking through the federal courts right now. Liberty University is filing, or has filed and is pursuing the next round. They have challenged the employer mandate. The mandate that Obamacare imposes upon employers to offer a certain type of coverage and to offer coverage through their plans. They need a partner in the Attorney General's office who's going to stand up and fight with them. Next, the EPA. We've got an EPA that has been out of control for the past 4 years. Lisa Jackson just left as the director of the Environmental Protection Agency. Lisa Jackson, it may turn out, was the more conservative of the two Obama EPA directors if the initial indications are borne out concerning this new director. But Lisa Jackson, she went to Europe early in the Obama administration and talked to a group of European leaders, and she made it clear what she viewed her job as. Me, I look at the EPA and I think it has something to do with clean air and clean water. What else is it supposed to do? Well, Lisa Jackson went to Europe and she told this group of European leaders, I have 16,000 employees. They stand ready to work with me to fundamentally transform the American economy. That is what Obama administration officials, top to bottom, irrespective of their agency, view their mission as being. And they're out to do it. All you have to do is go out to Southwest Virginia and you can see up close and personal the transformation in our economy being brought about by the Environmental Protection Agency. Ken Cuccinelli, the Attorney General of Virginia, and his outstanding staff have stood up to an overreaching EPA in the war on coal. That fight is ongoing, and lest you believe that it's just a group of out-of-work coal miners that's affecting, it is affecting every single one of us. It is affecting our economy, it's affecting transportation in Virginia, it's affecting the ports, it is affecting manufacturing, which is more expensive to run manufacturing facilities. With every coal-fired power plant we take offline and put on gas-fired power plants, which somebody's got to pay to build those gas-fired power plants, and it's you and me. And it's the manufacturers across the Commonwealth of Virginia who are paying for those gas-fired power plants. We have got to continue to stand up to the EPA. In where I live, some of you have heard this story, but where I live in the Shenandoah Valley. Agriculture is king. I've got Mennonite dairy farmers in the Shenandoah Valley. They don't drive cars, they don't vote, they don't have electricity in their homes. These people are receiving enforcement letters from the EPA telling them that their dairy cows are point source discharge units that require permitting in order for them to be able to continue to operate their family dairy farms. It is an outrage, and it has to be stopped. We've got to continue to stand up. There's a fella named Mark Herring who's running for Attorney General. He's a state senator. I know him well. He lives in Loudoun County. He's a Democrat. He's made it clear that if he's elected Attorney General, he is not going to pursue what he calls politically motivated and political fights. Let me translate. What he means is he's going to roll over for the Obama administration, and he will not stand up to the administration no matter what they do. And we cannot afford that. He says we're spending too much money on this litigation, that we shouldn't be spending money fighting lawsuits. Well, let's think about this for a second. Northern Virginia, the liberal, Democratic Board of Supervisors in Fairfax County came to Ken Cuccinelli last year and said the EPA is imposing regulations that are going to cost us tens of millions of dollars in order to build new roads in Northern Virginia, and would cost Virginians across the Commonwealth of Virginia hundreds of millions of dollars. We believe that those are illegal. Ken Cuccinelli, linked with the liberal Democratic Board of Supervisors, took that to court in a fight that Mark Herring has said he would not fight. And he won. He won. These transportation tax dollars that we just, that the General Assembly, not Rob, not me, that the General Assembly raised, I'd much rather they go, if we have to pay them, that they go into putting asphalt on the ground rather than complying with illegal federal regulations, which is exactly what the Democrats would give us. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe that it is critical for us to continue to fight these fights. We're going to have fights in the future over our right to work laws, defending those against an assault by the Department of Labor and the National Labor Relations Board. We've got to fight that fight as well to make sure that Virginia continues to be a right to work state. And I believe that we're going to have to fight to defend our Second Amendment rights, because they, as you know, continue to be under assault. The president did not get his way yesterday in Congress, which means to me one thing, that he's coming with executive orders and regulations in order to undermine our Second Amendment rights around the country, since he couldn't get it through Congress. I've been fighting these fights for 25 years. The very first case I ever worked on was a constitutional case, and I've worked on constitutional cases throughout my career. I've handled north of 100 of them. I've tried these cases in the United States District Court. I've handled dozens of appeals to the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals. I've fought writs in the United States Supreme Court. This is a qualification that equips me to take the baton from Ken Cuccinelli and to continue to fight these fights from day one when I'm elected to serve as Attorney General. Second of all, you know, I do have a law office, and as a matter of fact, I've got an office on 10th and Market Street in Charlottesville, and an office in Harrisonburg. The Attorney General's office has 265 lawyers. They are one of the largest law firms in Virginia. They are the most important law firm in Virginia. I've run law firms. I ran one law firm with 70 employees in the Shenandoah Valley. I left that job about 12 years ago, left my clients behind, and because I wanted to run for the state senate, a small band of us got together and decided to start this little entrepreneurial venture, a new law firm in Charlottesville and Harrisonburg. We started it, we've grown it to about 50 employees. These are qualifications that I bring to this job. Ken Cuccinelli and I, personally and politically close. I was one of 3 people who served on his transition team. I helped him build that office. I believe that the Attorney General's office and the Governor's office can work well together during a Cuccinelli and Obenshain administration. And let me close with this and tell you, I got into politics because, you know, it was something that I breathed as a child. It was something that was part of my life. It was important to engage in public service. It always has been. I started law firms. I raised my family. I did first things first. And about 12 years ago, I decided to run for the state senate. I did grow up in a political household. Let me tell you what motivates me. It's freedom. It's liberty. My dad ran for the United States Senate in 1978. We were just talking about that wonderful convention, 1978. If any of you have any doubts about whether you're going to actually go to this convention this year, let me tell you, you need to go. It's going to be exciting. And I know I'm in Bell territory, and I'm turning out Bell delegates, but it's going to be one of a kind. It will be exciting. That convention back in 1978 had 4 candidates. John Warner, who was married to Cleopatra herself. Linwood Holton, Nathan Miller, and a guy named Dick Obenshain ran for the United States Senate. Dick Obenshain won that. He was killed in a plane crash in August of that year. He left behind this note. It said, "The most important goal in my life is to have a meaningful impact on preserving and expanding the realm of personal freedom in the life of this country." Now, you and I, every November, we link arms and say, we're not going to give up any more freedom. And that's a goal that unites us as conservatives and Republicans. But I have to say, it's no longer enough. It's no longer enough. And the truly audacious part about that goal to me is not preserving the realm of freedom, because we know we've got to do that. But you know that in the natural course of human events, freedom once lost is seldom ever regained. But to make it your goal to expand the realm of freedom in the life of this country is a goal that is worthy of every single one of us. I believe that over the course of the past decades, particularly over the course of the past 4 years, we have lost too much freedom. And we cannot be content to draw that line in the sand and be on the defensive. We've got to go on the offensive. We've got to take back the freedom we've lost. That's what's guided me for 10 years. It is what guides me with every vote. It is why I'm running for the office of Attorney General of Virginia. And I thank you for your hospitality.